From the News Channel 5 Network, this is OpenLine.
Hello everyone, welcome to Open Line on Wednesday night. I'm Ben Hall. Good show tonight. We are talking all about Metro schools, and for the first half of the show we will have just Dr. Jesse Register on. The Director of Schools will be taking your calls, answering questions on a host of topics, certainly plenty to discuss. We'll broaden the discussion out in the second half of the show, but happy to have with us Dr. Jesse Register. Dr. Register, thank you.
Ben, it's good to be here again.
For coming on, answering questions. What's going on in East Nashville, the all-choice proposed zone? We want to talk about that. The fact that you don't want a contract extension, we want to talk about that. Last night at the school board meeting, you proposed firing 4 teachers for low ratings. Let's talk about that, the firing of 4 teachers. Why did you make that proposal? Is this a major change? And let's just start there.
Well, Ben, I think it's an important change that goes along with some changes in state laws. Essentially, the state law changed a couple of years ago to say that teachers who scored below expectations or significantly below expectations on an evaluation 2 years in a row could be fired for non-performance of duties, and we use that standard to notify and to finally last night to dismiss 4 teachers. But the process is what's really important, and I think we go back to set context. Up until just a few years ago, state law only required that tenured teachers be evaluated formally once every 5 years. That's not enough. You know, when we want to evaluate to make sure that we have good teachers and to have a process for dealing with subpar performance or performance that needs to be improved. The law changed, and now in Tennessee the law requires that every teacher be evaluated every year. This plan's been in place for several years now, and we're getting to the place now where we've accumulated data, and we can and we've developed the system. We've trained our principals. Teachers have been informed about the system, and we are now at a place where we can implement or use the law to dismiss teachers that we feel like are performing significantly below expectations.
And these are teachers that received a 1 out of a scale of 1 to 5. And they received that for 2 consecutive years. 2
consecutive years.
And these are tenured teachers. So
Correct.
This is different. This is a totally different way of doing things. There was some opposition last night on the board. One board member said if we are going to begin mass firings, he indicated he would like more time. Is this an indication? Is it a dramatic change in the way we do things? And does it mean that we may see mass firings of poor performing teachers year after year?
No, not at all. And let me emphasize that the great majority of our teachers are very good teachers. We have a lot of great teachers in our district, and our goal is to have great teachers for our children. We also know that we have a responsibility to improve performance where there are needs for improvement for our teachers, to work with our teachers to do that. It's very important that we are a district that recruits and keeps and develops great teachers across our district. But so mass firings is certainly a misperception. We're talking about 4 people over a 2-year period of time, and we have now about 5,500, over 5,000 classroom teachers in our district. Let me give you a little bit of set a little bit more of the context. Last February, we notified 70 teachers in writing. These were among those 70 that they had performance for the year before last of a 1 on their composite evaluation score. By the end of, and we notified them that if they repeated that low score again for a second year, they were subject to being dismissed. By the end of that year, 42 of the 70 had improved their scores. They had worked out of that low performance criteria. That's very important. That's really what we want. That's what we want to work toward. And that's the reason why I think the process is very important and very good. We want to improve practice of teachers that may have needs for improvement. Of those left, this past school year, at the end of the year, 20 resigned, moved on, retired, or were accepted the fact they were notified at the end of the year that they were in trouble for performance and left. So we were, over the course of the summer, we were only left with 8 people who had those low scores for 2 years in a row. It's important to note also that it's just now that we can effectively deal with those people, because we wanted to get all the data in, we wanted to get all the test scores in, we want anything that would have some impact on their final evaluation score, and that data has just been completed in the last few weeks for these teachers. So what it came down to last night was that we moved to dismiss 4 teachers. That's a part of a due process also. The process, the 3 last steps are that I notified the board last night formally, and had already notified them in writing, that if charges were found to be true, and if the board agreed that those charges were sufficient to warrant dismissal, that those teachers would be dismissed. The teachers in question still have 2 more steps in a due process right. If they disagree, if they want to challenge that, they have an opportunity in our district to go to an impartial administrative law judge to look at the facts, to look at the substance in the case, in the reasons for dismissal. If the teacher still disagrees after that point in time, they have a right to appeal back to the school board for a substantive review of the case. So I think you know, you have to put it in perspective. I was on the committee. I was an appointee of Governor Bredesen on the committee, the task force that developed the original teacher evaluation system, the plan. I feel like it's not perfect, but it's the best we have. And I do believe that we have trained our administrators and leaders to be able to effectively use that system. And when we're looking at a staff of over 5,000 teachers, we have to recognize that some of them might not be appropriate to teach your children, and those are the ones that we have to take action on. And
then on this topic, last thing, I mean, some people worry it could be subjective. Certainly, a lot of power goes to the principal when they come up with the score, whether it's a 1, 2, or 5, and it's tied closely with test scores.
Correct.
And that worries teachers. How do we make sure this is used in an appropriate way, and you know, test scores are evaluated properly? I mean, certainly some teachers in some areas are going to have students that may perform better just by virtue of where their home is, you know, their parents and their parental involvement. How do we deal with those issues?
Well, I think you have to look at the comprehensive nature of the overall evaluation system. It is a composite score. It's based on observations of people who have been trained to observe. The test scores are a factor, but not a higher percentage, less 50% or less of the total rating score. And teachers have some flexibility if they're in grades that are not where their children aren't actually tested. They have some options for selecting different approaches to considering student achievement, but also a reliance on good observation and evaluation and conversations with principals. In our human capital department, we review the data. We look at principals' evaluations. We look at the composite scores. We consider those very carefully because we want to make sure that when it comes down to decisions like this, that we're making good decisions for children, and hopefully decisions that will allow people to move on to other things where they can be more successful.
All right, we're going to take a break, then we'll come back and continue the discussion. We're going to move on to the all-choice zone in East Nashville. What is happening with that certainly is controversial.
Right.
And the fact that you have decided not to seek a contract extension. So we'll take a break. If you want to call, there's the number. We'll take a break. Be back right after this.